InterAction is 160 organizations who've come together to make a collective difference in the world by advancing their individual missions. Hi, I'm Sam Worthington, and I've been in our community for a number of years. I come to our community as someone who's lived overseas, in fact grew up overseas in many different countries, as someone who has seen what poverty is, as someone who's seen the devastation that war or famine could cause in the world. I come to you as someone who's deeply committed to make a difference in the world because I've seen that we as nonprofits can make that difference. And knowing that we can make that difference, I believe that we can do a better job by trying to do more together.
InterAction's become a really important voice for the whole humanitarian and development community. Lots of times InterAction can get into meetings with government, can set up meetings with government that our agencies couldn't do by themselves.
We work very closely with InterAction on a whole range of issues. In fact, we think InterAction is one of our most important strategic partners. They have very experienced people, they have very knowledgeable people, and they have people that are steeped in the importance of humanitarian intervention.
Well, one of the things that I really like about InterAction, being with a smaller agency, is that our voice is an equal as the voice of some of the larger organizations.
My role as aid administrator the last five years in the Bush administration, InterAction was critically important to vet proposals for dealing with some of the great crises in the world, of getting member opinion and member views on what was happening on the ground, of understanding whether certain programmatic approaches in terms of security, in terms of livelihoods, was something the NGO community would support actively.
There are a lot of reasons to be part of InterAction, and I have been, and Heifer has been, for close to 20 years. And I've seen a lot of changes and a lot of growth. I think we've just come into our own. I think we've had good leadership, good board, good members, but I think we have just grown up and we're ready to graduate into being true leaders.
InterAction provides a whole range of services, services that enable our members to get together, to try to solve a problem together, to address a crisis in the world, services that enable the U.S. government to deliver relief in places that they could not deliver without our organizations. But we're more than simply providing services with and on behalf of our members. We are a group of organizations dedicated to make a difference in the world. And when together we raise our voice for a common cause, we're able to make that voice heard because it's the voice of those we try to serve.
The state of international development is it's in a state of flux. Things are changing. All that we thought that we knew is changing. Donor priorities are changing, and at the same time we see out there an awful lot of what's known as donor fatigue. You know, I keep saying, what about recipient fatigue? You know, we're sick and tired of hearing the donors kvetching on for hours and hours on end, but still there is that, and also the very nature of our business is changing. We now have private foundations which disperse much more assistance and development than the entire US government apparatus. So we have to be able to deal with these rapidly changing forces within our world.
Well, I find the international development environment to be a very interesting environment. I think for the first time in the history of development, there's a consensus on the need to reduce poverty, and I think that's a major achievement. At the same time, I think there is a dialogue going on as to what should be the role of government, what should be the role of NGO, and the role of the Congress.
I think the real change is that people all over the world know that it's feasible to make progress against hunger, poverty, and disease. So in developing countries, hundreds of millions of families are trying to grasp that opportunity, and also in the rich countries. People get that and are excited about it, and so we've seen, for example, that U.S. government funding for poverty-focused development assistance has gone from about $4 billion in 1999 to about $12 billion.
That 30 years ago, everyone was poor. People in Korea, Taiwan, Malaysia, Thailand, Mexico, all were poor. They were hungry, they were illiterate, they were without opportunity. And in just one generation, we have succeeded in helping 3/4 of the world's population enjoy the benefits of education, health, nutrition, and hope for the future.
One of the challenges I took on assuming the role that I have now in InterAction was, is there a thread that pulls us all together? Can we look for goals that reach beyond our individual interests as organizations? And what was interesting and fascinating through the strategic planning process was that each of our organizations in our own way make contributions, but beyond our individual organizations, we see how together we can make a collective difference.
The strategic planning process at InterAction, the last one we went through, was, frankly, it was exhilarating, because you had so many people from so many different backgrounds and so many different environments that it was wonderful to see them all working together with quite a bit of humor as well and humility to boil down their priorities just to 3 strategic goals.
One of the things that was clear throughout the strategic planning process is that gender overall is a high priority for InterAction. And it is well integrated into each of these goals. It's well integrated throughout InterAction as an organization in ways that it has never been before.
You know, an integral part of community development and democratization, or whatever you want to call it, is accountability, transparency, and good governance. And the fact that InterAction has embraced the accountability and good governance as an essential element of the way it does business, this is terribly important for us because it enables us to practice what we preach.
There's the famous saying that, what's measured gets done. Since we all believe we stand for measurable results, improved education, health, income, opportunity, by being accountable for the measurement of those activities, there's no question we will all find ourselves raising our game.
The future of U.S. foreign assistance, particularly from the point of view of the American citizen, giving their money to a relief organization, we want to put to rest so many of the critics that are saying we're not effective, we don't collaborate, we're not achieving enough. Those things may be true in times and in places, but we need to improve ourselves so that those things don't happen anywhere, anytime.
What we can do together would be awesome, and we really have no excuse not to come together collectively and advocate for those people we serve around the world. They deserve the best, and if we're not continually learning and growing and developing, then we're not giving them the best.
We also need to be really helping, supporting, and growing the local institutions in developing countries so that we won't have to stay there forever. We can leave behind a strong network, strong professionals, a strong infrastructure in those countries so that we can go on to other places where other people need help.
It's time to act on our goals, to act on the belief that we can have our government focus on the world's poorest people, that we can have a position in the government that brings its focus around the world on development and humanitarian affairs at the level that it should, that we act as a community on having a greater collective impact, that our collective impact builds on lessons and standards that we've applied to ourselves, and to act on the recognition that only through partnering can we make this possible, by partnering with you, ultimately as individuals, to make that difference.